Welcome to James Madison's Montpelier. I'm Ryan Nobles from NBC 12 in Richmond, and we're continuing our conversation on the Bill of Rights. Joined by Police Chief Tim Longo from Charlottesville, who's also an attorney, Hank Chambers, who's a law professor at the University of Richmond, and Peter Irons, who's a widely published author and the political science professor emeritus at UC San Diego. We're going to talk now about the Seventh Amendment, which is something that doesn't get really that much attention very often, Hank, but if we're going to drill it down to its base level, it's basically allowing for someone involved in a civil case to have that case heard in front of a jury.
Right. That's exactly right. The idea is the government doesn't make decisions, fellow citizens make decisions. So in suits that have much value at all, we want to let a jury decide the issue as opposed to having a government magistrate decide the issue.
What would be an example of that, Peter? Something that somebody would be familiar with?
Well, let's say you have a case in which a private citizen is suing, for example, a corporation for negligence in designing an automobile or whatever. And you have a right, just as you would in a criminal trial, to bring in witnesses, testimony, evidence, and so forth, and to have a jury. Now, in many cases, defendants in civil cases waive a jury trial and allow a judge to decide it, particularly if there are complicated issues of law. But if there's a lot of money at stake, and keep in mind that some of these cases involve millions of dollars in potential damages, many lawyers feel that a jury is going to be more sympathetic to the defendant, particularly if they've been injured in some serious way.
And has it changed over time in terms of, does the amendment deal at all with the amount of money that you can sue for, or an amount that would require a jury to be involved?
It mentions $20, and if it's less than $20, you don't get a jury. If it's more than $20, you do, and that just hasn't changed over time.
Right. It would actually take quite a bit of work to change something like that.
It would. It's probably not really worth the candle, to be honest.
And Chief, we'll bring you into the conversation.
Thanks.
The Seventh Amendment, it doesn't involve the criminal court at all, right? So it's not something you ever come in contact with.
Let's say, for example, you walk out of here today and a police officer somewhere in Virginia, certainly not Charlottesville, violates your civil rights. Now we're in civil court in the United States District Court here in Charlottesville, Virginia, and there will be a jury that will decide the merits of that case and as to whether or not the officer acted appropriately or in a manner that was inconsistent with the Constitution. That's a great opportunity if I were a plaintiff to bring a jury into the discussion.
And Peter, one of the things that this country rightly or wrongly gets accused of is being too litigious of a society. Is this amendment part of the reason that maybe we get that characterization, because it offers people the opportunity to sue for a variety of different reasons and hear it before a jury?
No, actually that's a great question, because all of the claims that we are too litigious a society. After all, we've got 1 million lawyers in this country, 3 of them right here. And the thought that people are filing frivolous lawsuits right and left, the coffee McDonald's served me was too hot and it spilled in my lap. That was a case, in fact, that people made a lot of fun of, but the lady actually had to have skin transplants and the coffee was too damn hot. So the idea that a jury should be able to decide on an amount of damages that are proportional to the harm that somebody suffered. Now there are also, and judges have thought of very clever ways to make sure that you don't have runaway juries, who give away billions of dollars. And there's a process called remittiture, where a judge can reduce the amount of damages and then say to the parties, you either accept this or we go back for another trial.
I think in Virginia, there's a limit on the amount that you can be awarded in a jury trial, correct?
There are limits, particularly in medical malpractice cases and in certain tort cases. There are limits on how much you can recover.
And is that up to each individual state? That's not covered in the Constitution, the caps that you can put on those kind of awards?
It's a state issue. And as long as the actual cap does not violate due process, then it's going to be acceptable.
Okay, gentlemen, thank you.
Thank you.